Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get-started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. Oh, I'm doing it again. Under the name Opperman Report. Okay, now I was actually going to do a whole show tonight about all the hacking attempts and phishing attempts that I'm going through here. I was part of that big latest Russian hacking thing that went on here in the United States, and the one that's not talked about so much. I was targeted in that, the recent one, not the meat thing, the meat selling thing. And I was going to do a whole show just about that. But let's finish what we're doing here now tonight about the Roy Radin and Tiny Tim and Michael Cesar and this homeless guy who was dating Rakowitz. Okay, a guy named Rakowitz, who was a friend of Mickey's. He was down there with Daniel Rakowitz, and he was dating this girl, Monica Beerl, who was a ballerina, and he chopped her up and he cooked her into stew and he fed it to the homeless. I think it was Bryant Park. Hey, okay, Tompkins Square Park, okay? Now, like I said, I never saw any rituals going on or any kind of things going on, but there was that weird thing with the Eitan Pates photograph, you know, and that's been connected to the Process Church and the Son of Sam cult. And another thing, too, is so now what happened was the first time I heard the name Roy Radin and the Roy Radin vaudeville thing was I was asking Tiny Tim. I said, well, listen, you know, when you came to the, like, what if we didn't want to pay you that night? What would you have done? You know, like, what if we don't want to pay you? You know, because, you know, there was a confusion about a payment to you. You know, I came up with some money for you, but, you know, what if we didn't want to pay you? And it was, I'm not concerned about that at all, because my manager is Mr. Roy Radin. And when you have Mr. Roy Radin behind you, nothing can stop you. You know, he can take care of any problems. And I said, okay, well, that's good. Well, so can I. You know, you're not intimidating me, my friend. You know, because by this time, Tiny Tim was an old guy. He was very heavy. He was wearing like a suit jacket, like a tuxedo suit jacket with a red sweater underneath it with these white socks, you know, and he's moved very slowly. Anyway, that's it. You know, neither here nor there. So there was that whole thing, okay? And that's when I first made the connection to Roy Radin and the Roy Radin vaudeville thing. And then when I saw that Roy Radin was killed, and I saw this, and I just happened to be flipping through the newspaper, and I saw this in the New York Post, and it says, they call him a producer, eccentric producer, or something like that. No. The next thing I saw, the Roy Radin came on my radar, when I saw the Melanie Holler, that there was a party at Roy Radin's house, and Melanie Holler, the first female sweat hog, was raped and abused. She was brought into the place on a leash to begin with, but then was raped, drugged, raped, and abused and beaten in there too. And they found a gun. They charged Roy Radin with possession of a gun and coke, but the very minor charges ultimately in the end. And also too, my sister and her either husband or boyfriend at the time, I forget, and a bunch of their friends were invited to a party at Roy Radin's house. And my brother-in-law, it wasn't my brother, they were married. My brother-in-law was outraged at what he saw there with these porn stars, and he says, he goes, they were teenagers. They were little kids. They were teenagers. They're snorting coke and being, you know. So and he was outraged by what he saw over there. So there was that connection. Now, I lived on Staten Island at the time. In fact, I was known as Eddie from Staten Island. And right around that same time, too, a friend of my sister's had bought a brand new condo in Bay Terrace, and it was like one of the first. It was like new construction. That was they bulldozed some woods, you know, and they put this condo complex in there, and they were the first people to move in. Like they were the second or third people. They didn't even have curtains on their windows, and they started hearing chanting you know, in the woods, you know, and they were singing songs and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, when they would turn their lights on or they would turn their lights off, this crowd of people in the woods would cheer or yell things out and stuff. And they were very disturbed. So they called the police, you know. And they looked out the window and they saw what was going on. They were wearing robes and they had a fire and they were chanting and they were walking around and doing ceremonies and stuff like that. So she was totally freaked out. So when she called the cops show up and, you know, went down there. You know, the people were gone by that point. But they went down there and they found animals, chickens and stuff like that, and all kind of animals and stuff that had been thrown into this fire. And they says, well, maybe they were having a barbecue. Ha, 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 ha. And she goes, barbecue? Dude, they were wearing these robes. They were chanting all kind of satanic stuff. It wasn't a barbecue. And he goes, well, you know, it's freedom of religion. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Okay. There was another thing, too, on Staten Island before all this. I forgot. I'm not telling this in chronological order. But when I was a kid, really young, 13, 14 years old, when I first moved to Staten Island, one of the things people would do is you'd go to Vanderbilt's tomb. Now, this is Gloria Vanderbilt's father, CNN's Shepard Smith's grandfather. Very rich guy. And at this, you would go to this cemetery and you'd walk down this well-worn trail. So the people had been doing this for years, okay? And then there was a hole in the fence. No one ever bothered to repair this hole in the fence. Everybody knew the kids were coming down there to party on top of this guy's tomb. When you got to the tomb, there was a wall, but it was like, you know, it's like, you know what a wall is like in increments, like steps, you know, because it's not like on a hill, you know? So you could walk on the top of it, and there was plenty of room to walk on the top. It was like a path. You know, the trail went right to this wall. When you could walk to it, you had to go through the hole in the fence, which was there for years. You get to the top of the tomb, and it was kind of tricky, too, you know. I was scared to do it when I'm not good at heights and things like that. But when you got up there was all kind of satanic graffiti on the roof of this guy's tomb, and candles and evidence of fires. I remember one time we found a bunch of birds that had been burned up there, too. This was also known as a spot for date rape. And a lot of girls would go up there and they would give them drugs and they'd wind up getting raped by the end of the night. Okay, this is a notorious spot. This wasn't like a secret. And I remember thinking, well, if this guy's such a rich guy, you know, and with this tomb, how come there's no security here or anybody cleaning up this stuff up? What is going on here? You know, so, but now we kind of have a better idea what's going on there. You know, the weirdness we see with that family. So there was that whole thing too, right? So then, I guess the next thing then too is I see the murder of Roy Radin, and you know, again that just shocked the hell out of me. And then I remembered hearing Maury Terry talking about how he was connected to the Son of Sam cult and all that too. So all this, you know, my different connections to all this stuff. When I started doing my radio show, this is one of the topics that interested me. Now, what happened was I had some people on the show, and I was invited to go down to New York and visit all of the Son of Sam sites. Maury Terry was going to take us on a tour, and I was invited to go on this tour. And I was in an email loop, and that's how I got Maury Terry's email, okay? Because as much as people think, hey, we're all friends and we all know each other and everybody gets along great, every time I emailed Maury Terry about an interview or a question, he never emailed me back. And people would contact me saying, hey, Ed, can you get this information over to Maury Terry? And I'd say, yes, I can. And I'd send it over to him. And then I'd get word back that, yeah, he got it and he followed up on it, but never would acknowledge me in any way or anything. I begged him to come on the show. He wouldn't do it. And then also, too, I had contacted certain people for interviews. I wanted to interview an author who wrote a book about Robert Mapplethorpe. And I think that Maury Terry told him not to do the interview with me. And then ultimately, you know, I had to leave the Maury Terry group because of just some arrogance that went on, but Maury under his fake name, you know, his fake account. Really mostly involved in the O.J. Simpson case, which Maury felt that he had solved. You know, that he was the, you know, you've seen the shows I've done on O.J. Simpson. I think I know, you know, people deeply involved in it, and I've never heard anybody give credit to Maury Terry for solving the O.J. Simpson case. He has some theories about the daughter, Darnell, but whatever. So, my relationship was more, it was not some kind of friendship or, camaraderie or anything like that at all. If anything was, he didn't like me, as much as I admired him and his work for the majority of my life. Okay. So then, I've done a lot of interviews too with people around this case, like Bill Mentzer's private investigator. Okay. I've done a couple of interviews with him, a couple of shows with him. And it's turned out that Bill Mentzer's listened to my show. Bill Mentzer has listened to me in prison and enjoys my work on this, that I've done on this. Other people from the Process Church, okay, have contacted me, and said how they enjoy my show. They enjoy my show. And that's it's sort of saying to me that I have nothing to fear because they consider me to be a good guy. Because I'm a good father. So I have nothing to worry. Okay. I don't know. Those things seem to, wear thin. I don't know. I think if I stepped out of line, I would have something to worry. If I stepped out of line too much. And, so you see these guys, out there, these legendary, wacky figures, in alt media. I said, oh, he didn't die of a drug overdose. He died because he was talking about a keno, and he was talking about this, and he was dipping his nose in places he was just about to break a big start, So, I deal firsthand with these people, okay? And even a keno, I worked on a case. I didn't get paid on it, but some people I know had some brushes with a keno, and I stepped in and did some work on it. So a keno definitely knew who I was, There's no doubt about that. And so anybody who tries to tell you that they were killed because they were talking about a keno on some alt YouTube channel. Okay, when I was dealing with the guy firsthand, it was just craziness. But whatever, what are you gonna do? You can't convince people of anything. There's just so much craziness and stupidity out there. So then, I guess the latest thing was my connection with this latest Netflix documentary. Where they came to me and they wanted to interview me and they wanted all my material. And I did. I gave them all my material. I gave them all the stuff I have, all my shows, and even stuff that was in the members section. I took time out of my day to download all the stuff and send it to them. And, we want to interview you about your relationship with Maury and all this stuff like that. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I'm not going to have anything good to say about Maury, to tell you the truth. I got to tell you, too. In that group, the people that ran the official Maury Terry group, there was a lot of racism. There was a lot of racism. These old white guys from New York, okay, fine. But it was more that I could tolerate. And I know a lot of it was done to egg me on, So that left a bad taste in my mouth, too, as well. But then ultimately, when these guys who did this Maury Terry documentary just recently, and everyone thought we could trust them because they did Cropsey. Okay, fine. I sent them all my material, no charge. I didn't bill them anything, And then they send me over an NDA. We want to interview you, Ed, on the phone. But first, you have to sign this NDA. And right off the bat, I'm insulted because, listen, I'm a private investigator. If I give you my assurance that I'm going to keep this confidential, that should be enough. Otherwise, you're kind of insulting me. It's not like you're hiring me for a big job here, So I said, okay, listen, I'm insulted. I didn't say to them I'm insulted, but I was insulted. And I said, okay, send it over the NDA. And I look at it, and it's not even an NDA. This is a document that says that anything I say to them, they own. So when I saw that, I just ignored it, man. I said, bleep these guys, man. Forget them. This is an insult. This is worse than an insult. And they get back to me, we haven't heard back from you, Ed. What do you think? You want to do this? Did you sign it? And I says, no, I'm not signing it because it says you own everything I say to you. That's crazy. I'm not going to sign that. I said, out of your mind. Oh, Ed, it doesn't really say that. Well, then fine. Let's throw it away. And it doesn't say that. We don't have to worry about this. Oh, no, we can't do that. All right, fine. I withdraw. It's my notice of withdrawal. So anyway. Probably forgetting a lot of stuff that I wanted to tell you about my involvement and all this kind of stuff over the years. But that's all I got off the top of my head right now, especially with this big disruption with my computer having all these hacking problems, all this kind of crap going on over here. I don't know how many people that targeted, and a lot of this stuff too that I'm being targeted with, man, is really shaking me up. And I tell you, I was listening to some of the old shows, and man, some of these shows was so funny, especially interviews. People used to interview me. I listened to the show where Brace and Liz from TrueAnon interviewed me about the Hunter Biden laptop story, and they did a lot of editing on that, and it came off very funny. But I know a lot of these Friday night shows, I used to be really funny on this. I'm really not. But I went on some dates in the past this month. I went on a few dates. I'm very funny. I'm still very, very funny. These women are laughing their asses off, at my stuff. Maybe they're laughing at me because I'm so funny looking. But, I just have to capture that. I'm even thinking like doing a filming thing, me sitting in a restaurant, and just telling stories that way, taping it and putting it out. Because I think, this Friday night schedule, and doing this live, it's kind of getting kind of rough on me, So it might be better if I started taping my dates, just get something out of them. I'm getting nothing out of them now. I'll tell you that. Hey, let's see, man. Oh, hey, what about this thing going on here, man? So, I'm talking about hacking, right? And how these Russian hackers and how they hacked into that oil distribution company, and then just hacked into this meat distribution company. People need to know now when they halt distribution, and the meat company halts distribution, it's not because they hacked into that. They hacked into the billing. They stopped distributing the oil because they couldn't bill correctly for it. Okay, that's why that disruption happened. Because this company couldn't bill. They couldn't just say, well, we'll bill you the same thing we billed you last month. It's kind of close. It's close enough. They can't. They shut down a whole country and caused all this damage over that. Now then Biden says, well, stop paying them. Don't pay them there. And then they go into the Bitcoin wallet and they take the money right out. How the heck? I thought Bitcoin was super secret, and it's, Snowden, you couldn't touch it. Well, what happened to all that, man? I guess that's an illusion. Wouldn't you think it's an illusion? Once you see this, right? Wouldn't that kind of, wouldn't it kind of tip you off, man, that they know everything we're doing, 100%? So don't think for a second, man, that these companies are when they pay these ransoms, right? And Biden tells them not to pay the ransom. It's not just that they captured the billing software. They have all their personal, embarrassing emails and photos and all kind of nonsense going back and forth. The personal credit card information of the CEO, his social security number, all kind of stuff. They gotta pay. I'm thinking of moving to Russia. Doing this, they gotta pay, man. So anyway, man, that's a whole scene going on here, and I'm a little concerned too that I think I'm seeing a lot of activity around me. People trying to infiltrate and kind of set me up, kind of trying to set me up. So, but I'm pretty fast on my feet, so let's see what happens. Now, coming up next, we're gonna have Ted Rubenstein. And then we're going to have this other guy. We'll do Greg Palast first. Then we'll do Ted Rubenstein. Okay? So listen, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I think I talked nice and slow so you can understand me. I really encourage you to check out the Patreon this week because we're going to be putting up a lot of content. Okay? Because Shane went in and he cut out all the ads on the old member section shows, where people would interview me, and I'm gonna be uploading like 10 of those this week. Okay, because now I got this computer here, it should be working. So we'll try that. I'm gonna upload a ton of shows on Patreon, the Opperman Report Patreon. I'm gonna put that up there, man, and then let's get that thing humming and huzzing and moving and grooving. Now, if you want to advertise on this show, I'm on 150 cities across the country. Nevada, Las Vegas, California. I'm in Utah, the big cities in Utah. I'm in Florida. I got Florida locked up, okay? Tampa Bay area, Tampa, Sarasota, Clearwater, St. Pete, Venice, all these big towns in Florida, okay? Then we got the east coast of Florida. Miami. I'm on in Miami, Florida, okay? And then all the way up to past West Palm Beach, 175 miles of I-95. So if you want to advertise on this show, man, this is the time to do it. I'm working on a couple of guys out there trying to advertise, but I'm not a salesman. I'm just not a salesman. All right, guys, thank you so much. Once again, I enjoyed doing this live show with you. It's the happiest time of my week when I get to talk to the audience. And I've just had so many great compliments lately. Greg Palast gave me some great compliments, during the break and at the end of the show. And so did Professor Richard D. Wolf, and then other, people I respect, come to me. And so I really appreciate that. I really do. A lot of people have this impression of me that I'm this angry guy all the time, but the thing, I want to focus. I want to focus on my work and what I'm doing, and get things accomplished. I have a blink of an eye left before I'm 6 feet under. 20 years, 30 years is going to go in a blink of an eye. And there's things I can get done and that I know I can do, okay, with the support of the audience. If you're Patreons, you want to make donations, you want to advertise. That's what I really want. I want to get on 150 stations like Professor Wolf. There's no reason why not. There is an audience for what we have to say here. And they do. Let me tell you something. The Spreaker, makes a lot of money with those ads on my show. All those big companies that advertise on my Spreaker channel, they're making money. Otherwise, they wouldn't be paying me anything. All right? And YouTube could be making money, too, off my ads, too. But by the way, I got a strike on YouTube. If you listen on YouTube, man, get your act together. Move to Spreaker. Move to iHeart. Okay? Because we're not going to be on iTunes. We're not going to be on YouTube much longer. Already got a strike for nothing. Okay, guys. Good night. And now a word from our sponsors.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland Street Scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at KMDLaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to KMDLaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aquadam can do the job. An Aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.